Former Finance Minister Professor Botchwey believes the principles of probity and accountability espoused by former President J.J Rawlings should now more than ever cause a reawakening of the nation. Professor Botchwey, who served as Finance Minister under the late Mr. Rawlings, is among hundreds of NDC members who trooped to the Accra International Conference Center to pay their last respect to Mr. Rawlings, who was laid in state on Monday.
I'm sure a lot of memories are going through your mind as you see the lifeless body of the former president lying there. What are some of those memories?
Well, it is a very sad day for the nation. J.J. was such a huge figure in our whole political scene. And as I said in my tribute, you know, when a man attains such a huge stature, we get very used to it and imagine that somehow the laws of biology wouldn't work with him. So, but it is sad that it happened, and happened so suddenly. I think that the nation will remember him as someone who was so dearly loved, especially by the ordinary man who saw in him someone who really spoke for the ordinary person, and someone who provided leadership, very critical leadership, at a time when the nation was almost literally on the brink of total social disintegration, and provided leadership, especially in the area of economic policy transformation, and leadership in helping us take decisions that needed to be taken, even though they were painful and cost him some political, some of his political liking, and so I do very much hope that the cardinal principles that he stood for, probity, accountability in public life especially, will be taken seriously. These are all values that it would appear are being eroded with time, but I hope that this will provide a certain reawakening of the whole nation to appreciate, you know, the true values of the probity and accountability that he so much cherished.
Now, Mr. Rawlings has been credited for turning the economy around at a time when it was in a dire state, and you were pivotal in that and very instrumental at the time. So tell me, what do you remember about working with him during that time?
Well, the most difficult problem we had at the time was to change our policies in the area of our exchange rate management. The cedi had been pegged at 2.75 cedis to a dollar for a very long time. Everybody knew that this wasn't the true value of the cedi in dollar terms, but all our political leaders, and frankly, every government that had tried to realign relative prices and to touch the peg that we had established for the cedi to a dollar had met with some political misfortune. So it took a lot of courage, and JJ, I worked under him for 13 years. I was his minister, and I know firsthand the kind of leadership that he provided at some political cost to himself in taking those policies and in shifting our stance on the exchange rate management, and gradually allow the exchange rate to be market determined rather than administratively determined. And it provided a foundation, a real foundation for the institutional changes that needed to be made to make this economy what it is today. We take a lot of things for granted today, the forest bureaus and all that, the stock exchanges and all that. But all these were done in his time, and they are a very fundamental part of his legacy. But above all, I think that his insistence on probity and accountability while we are at it was a very crucial part of his legacy that I hope will not be forgotten.
The mortal remains of J.J Rawlings will be laid in state again today, Tuesday. The president and the vice president are expected to show up and pay their last respect. In the course of our programming this morning, we'll be crossing over to the Accra International Conference Center.